Welcome back to the Atlantis Resort and Casino on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. It's the final table of the main event at the PokerStars.net Caribbean Adventure. It's James Hartigan and Joe Stapleton calling the action. Still 8 players at the final table. And no sign at the moment of David Williams from Team PokerStars Pro. Hopefully he'll be with us in a moment. Are you surprised you haven't lost a play yet, Joe?
I am quite surprised considering last week's final table. Last weekend we lost 3 players in the first 7 hands. This week, not 1 player have we lost, and we're on hand number 50 for this final table. I'm also not surprised David Williams isn't here. It's Atlantis. People get lost sometimes.
First hand back from the break, and it's an all-in from one of our short stacks. Blinds are up to 50 and 100,000 with a 10K ante. And with a 1.3 million stack, Jonathan Roy shoves. He's got ace queen, and he will win the blinds and antes.
This is by far my favorite blinds level. 50, 100,000. Expect fewer big blinds mistakes from me, but not none.
Very easy to do the 10 times table. So yes, Jonathan Roy and João Nogueira and Yan Dion actually all pretty equal on around the 1.5 million mark, 15, 16 big blinds. Jerry Wong also playing a sub 20 big blind stack. So half the table is short. 3 guys have kind of middling stacks, fewer than 50 big blinds, and then you've got Joel Mika well out in front.
And we'll see if Joel Mika will be able to hold on to his chip lead a little bit better than Jerry Wong was able to at the start of the day today.
Yeah, if you've just joined us and you'd seen the reports online that Jerry Wong was coming into the final table with the chip lead, you might have been looking at that graphic thinking, what happened? He doubled up 2 players, basically.
Joel Mika looking like he wants to raise this hand. Under the gun.
Makes it 200,000.
Under the gun +1.
And the raise gets through. So every player at the final table guaranteed at least $165,000. The winner will receive the better part of $1.9 million. We have got some guys who are in for a small investment. Portuguese player, João Nogueira, is here courtesy of a $1.10 buy-in, online sit and go. Dimitar Danchev is here for $700. And Andrei Shatilov, who's a Supernova Elite player on Stars, actually used 750,000 FPPs to pay his buy-in.
The Roy boys. Gold trophy this year.
2.
I like it. Check my hair in it.
That is a classy trophy. So this is an under the gun raise from Mika with Jack 10 suited.
Definitely the kind of hand you don't mind seeing a little action with. Wong folds 2 5s.
Thank you to Stefan on Twitter, who's informed me there are 20,000 places still available in the PCALive free roll, which starts in just over 3 hours time, 7:15 this evening Eastern time. And the password for today's free roll is Dibella, in honor of last year's PCA main event champion. That's lowercase D-I-B-E-L-L-A. Dibella is the password that will get you into that free roll. You'll find it in the PCA section of the PokerStars tournament lobby.
That is only 20,000 seats left, people. Only. Oh, you guys are in big trouble right now. The Stars and Stripes are here.
We had a Canadian flag on the rail for the last level and the Stars and Stripes as well.
Like to wear a tank top here in the Bahamas. Celebrate my American right to bear arms.
Folded around to the blinds. Jonathan Roy playing 14 big blinds.
There he goes.
All in. And he is shoving light, Queen 3.
So I should forget it.
And Joel Mika initially asks for a count and then realizes that, nope, with Jack 4, I can happily fold that.
Tight fold. Takes guts to pull the trigger like that, but that's absolutely the move he's supposed to make right there.
If you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, the hashtag to use is PCALive. If you're not yet on Twitter, it's very easy to open an account. And of course, you can email alternatively nuts@pokerstars.tv.
Je comprends pourquoi que la veille, tu le tapes après toi.
And of course, you can watch via the PokerStars TV app, available for iOS and Android devices. Not just the iPhone, the iPad as well. Granted, the resolution is better on the iPhone, but you're not going to be complaining, quite
Not
frankly.
much, though. I mean, maybe, I don't know how many pixels it is, James, but I've seen them compared, and when you hit that little expandy thing on the iPad, it still looks plenty good. Plus, when you're looking at my face, lack of resolution can sometimes be a bit of a bonus.
A raise from Owen Crow.
Queen 10 offsuit.
4 or 5. You?
Like 9.
Closer to 10. You can easily see a 3-bet with this type of hand, but he kicks it in instead. Because he knew Dion was going to wake up with a big ace.
Wouldn't expect Dion to do anything other than move all in or fold.
All in.
He does shove.
Pro is dominated. Dion's going to be shoving fairly wide, but I don't know how often Queen 10's going to be in great shape.
It's a fold.
A lot of aces in that shove range.
And a question on Twitter from John the Book, who says, all casinos have a reputation for having terrible carpets. How does the Imperial Ballroom at Atlantis rank?
The Imperial Ballroom at Atlantis is no exception. It might be the biggest terrible carpet of all time.
I do love the fact that every single camera operator we have does their best to frame a shot without the carpet in vision.
Is that a rule that they have, really?
It's not a rule, it's so distracting from what they're trying to show. Details of the T-Coupe on your screen at the moment, kicking off on the 17th of January.
I'll say this, the carpet hides a spilled cocktail much better than my shirts do. Learned that one the hard way.
You do have some interesting stains on your clothes, it has to be said.
One of my classic moves is the shoulder stain.
Raises makes it 200,000.
Crow opened to 200,000. Wong picks up aces and moves all in. Figure this is going to be a call.
Could very easily see a call.
Action is back on Crow.
How much is it?
Not much.
Now Crow obviously does have to worry about some hands, but not too many.
How much is it?
1/6. You want an exact count?
It's 1/6 around.
We think it's around 1.56.
A little less.
I call.
And there is the call.
One makes the call.
So the guy who started this final table with the chip lead is now at risk. However, he's big favorite here to double up. Better than a 9-1 favorite.
This is one of those situations that's almost kind of a race because if the hands have been reversed, the hand probably plays out the same way.
Let's see the block, please.
Even though they're not racing, don't get me wrong.
Okay. Jack of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, deuce of hearts.
Crow does pair his jack on the flop.
Still in the lead. Want to get the running straight card first chop. Jack.
2% chance of a chop pot.
Turn card,
Wong
please.
looking to fade jacks.
Card is 6 of hearts.
Just there's 2 cards to fade on the river.
Jerry will double up. River card, please.
So Wong set for the double up.
Yeah!
Gets that
Jerry!
double up.
Jerry was due a little bit of chips coming back his way, I think. Absolutely hemorrhaged at the start of the day today.
Some more of your tweets. Rob says, you have just missed one of the best ends to a playoff game I've seen in years. Thanks for telling me that. Actually, during the break, I did manage to see that Seattle had made it a 1-point game, and with 30 seconds left on the clock, Atlanta managed to get downfield and kick a winning field goal. So my Niners are going to Georgia next weekend, Joe, for the NFC Championship.
Oh, NFC, huh?
1-5.
Football?
1-5-65.
I know how much you love sport.
Football's one of the best ones.
565,000.
One of the good ones.
Hello to Alex, who says, can I have a shout out? Need to recover for day 1B of UK IPT Edinburgh. I'm bedbound and feeling down. Make the guy feel good about himself, Joe.
When is that? I'm gonna fly there and shake his hand and wish him luck. Will that make you feel better, buddy? Probably not.
Best you don't turn up then. And in answer to Carl's question on Twitter about the trophy, he says it's a cool trophy. Does the winner get to keep it, or do they have to return it for next year? It's a keeper.
Good luck explaining it to airport security.
There is another trophy, actually, what we call the Hero Trophy, which is a large one that has the names of all the winners on, and that is one that stays in-house, as it were. But we make sure every winner of an event on the European Poker Tour gets something to keep on their mantelpiece.
Where's your girl?
If they don't have a mantelpiece, they win a lot of money to pay for one.
Andy, where's your girl?
Get a mantle. Maybe I should open a side mantle business
Make it rain.
and just hit up all the winners. All in.
Well, this is going to get called. Mika opens from the cutoff with queens. Nogueira shoves, and there is the call, and Nogueira has ace-6. He's only got one overcard.
Garrett looks pretty sick about it. Mika in excellent shape.
Asiana. Queens. Yo tengo Asiana.
So remember, this guy has only been playing poker for 8 months. It's his first ever live tournament. He's set to walk away with $165,000 here, unless he can spike an ace on the flop, turn, or river.
Mika is thinking no ace for Nogueira.
Played a sit and go for just over $1, got himself into a $10 qualifier, won his 16K package to the PCA. Well, there's a 6, that gives him additional outs. He also has the ace of diamonds in his hand, so running diamonds would work.
Now the good news for Mika is he can withstand this loss, should Nogueira happen to catch up.
That takes away the diamond draw, so Nogueira now drawing to an ace or a 6. He has 5 outs. The action could be about to go 7-handed here in the PCA main event.
Oh!
It does go 7-handed as we lose João Nogueira. The player from Portugal takes down a big score considering he's here for just over $1. $165,000 for his 8th place finish. And a great experience in his first ever live tournament.
And that's, you know, that's the kind of thing we love to see here. We love these stories of people satelliting in for $1. You know, that's what keeps people coming back every year. You have to wonder every time there's one of these stories, you know, are we going to see an increase in people trying to satellite their way in? I mean, that's the way to do it. That's just an absolutely great story. I hope he's not too disappointed.
No reason to be disappointed. You make the final table of one of the biggest tournaments in the calendar and walk away with a 6-figure score.
You know, and he said he was going to use his prize money to throw a big party in Portugal for all the people that couldn't be here. So now, you know, maybe you don't do the top shelf liquor. You know, maybe you stick to the call liquors. Fine, no big deal.
7 players remain. Jonathan Roy is now the short stack at the table with 15 bigs. And we've got 3 guys who are still pretty short. Although Owen Crow at least has moved over the 20 big blind mark.
And we should focus a little bit on Joel Mika's 112 big blind stack now.
Absolutely, by eliminating Nogueira, he gets his stack up over 10 million. Look at those towers. Small to big. Danchev raises. Shatilov folds.
What?
So what other Joe everybody's do we have left? We've got the air conditioner installer still alive, yeah?
No, that was João Nogueira.
A 21-year-old air conditioner installer? That guy's got a great career. What's he even doing playing poker?
Now we still have Shatilov, who brought in with his FPPs. We've still got Danchev, who satellited in for 700. Worth pointing out again that Danchev has a second place finish on the EPT. Finished second to Andrei Patichuk in San Remo back in season 8. So that was in October 2011. Looking to go one better. A number of players have had a second on the EPT and then gone on to win. One of the most famous being Elke, who was second in Copenhagen and then won the PCA. A7 for Jonathan Roy, and min raises, and that gets the job done. Well, let's hear from the chip leader's dad. Joel Mika Sr. flew in this morning to rail his son at the final table of the PCA.
Well, Joey called me during the day, and there was still probably 10, 12 players left. I had to work till 5 yesterday. So I said, well, Joe, I'm not going to fly down there if he's not in the final table. So, I came home, and it was still going. He said, oh, it looks like it's going to be over in, like, no time after the break. And it, went on and on and on and on. So then I had to go through American Airlines. I said, well, I'm pushing up against it. I got to get the ticket. Will they cancel, if he doesn't make the final table? Because, he was in second chips, but there's somebody that has more chips than him. They go all in, and he's out. So it's like, I'm not going to spend the money to come down, but it worked out. Got the tickets, flew out. It was kind of a hassle, and I got a little sleep. And I don't usually like to drink Red Bull. I'm too old for that. And but had a couple Red Bulls and had a bite to eat, and so we're golden. This is the coolest thing ever.
I would definitely read Mr. Mika's travel blog, for sure.
Back to the actions. Blind on blind. Owen Crow has raised the small with ace-8 suited. He gets a fold from Jerry Wong.
You get it? No, it's a little rough one. Could I do something weird?
Owen Crow currently 5th in chips.
Yeah, you got it. And then it'll be easier for you. I know you like
to take down that first place prize of 1.9 million. Plus, of course, the prestige which comes with winning this huge tournament.
Yep.
All right, well, it's time to welcome to the booth our next guest, PokerStars Team Pro from the USA, David Williams. What's up, Dave?
Oh, not much, guys. Thanks for having me and just watching some exciting action here in the Bahamas.
Sure. Have you been following along, or do you need to catch up? Don't be afraid to be honest.
I'll be honest. I need to catch up.
All right, here we go. Not a ton has happened. Our original chip leader, Jerry Wong, came in today, took some beats. He ended up being one of the short stacks for all. Recently doubled up. João Nogueira was our first elimination in 8th place. 165,000 is what he walked away with. He satellited
in for the $10 guy, right?
He satellited in for $110.
$110.
That's where he started. He then won a seat to a $10 other satellite. Laddered his way up here. He walked with 165.
That's incredible.
Danchev was just raised. Has had a 2nd place finish before.
Which event?
On the EPT. That was Copenhagen. Waiting for confirmation from my encyclopedia. San Remo, obviously, was San Remo.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't too familiar. The only players I was familiar with here were Owen Crow and Jonathan Roy. Or is it pronounced like Wah?
No, we got Roy. Roy.
Roy.
Unless we've been doing it wrong. Looks like Jerry Wong has got a decision here. 32 big blinds in his stack to start this hand.
So he's got 32 big blinds. We've got looks like a min raise on the blinds, 100.
Here comes the 3-bet.
So at
450K.
At this stage, with he's still got 32 big blinds. You said, yeah. So he's got plenty of time. He can still 3-bet fold. So if you're his opponent, you know that that's in his range as an option. So
Once again, I think Jerry Wong's got his microphone right under his nose. There he is. He's concerned about those mouth tells. Now 3-bet folding probably not an option now that we know
now
jacks.
that we know he's got 2 jacks. Yeah, he doesn't plan on 3-bet folding. But while we were at the mystery card, I was just showing. But even though, if like Denchev doesn't know that he has 2 jacks, so
right.
I'm saying he's still thinking that it definitely is a possibility. So he might want to continue on with his 6s, which, as we know, would be.
Right, that's more the point, is that Denchev may know that 3-bet folding is possible for Wong, so he could put in another bet with his 2 6s.
Yeah, because a lot of the times if stacks are too small and they're 3-betting like that, and they're usually committed, but like I said, they're deep enough actually where there's still some poker left to play. But wisely, he gets rid of the 6s, which is rare these days. A lot of people don't fold a pair anymore when they get 3-bet, especially when they at least that deep. They're getting the money back in there.
I would say the only player who hasn't been playing too cautiously so far has been Jerry Wong, and he got doubled through twice pretty early on. Everyone else has not really put up much of a fight unless they had a premium hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we played 61 hands and we've only lost 1 person. So it looks like we're in for a long ride here at this final table.
And here we have George Clyde Smith, our 11th place finisher. He's bringing in a bunch of beers for the Mika rail.
Where is he from?
George Clyde Smith, I think, is an English guy.
And Mika's from the
Mika's
USA.
a U.S. guy, yep.
That's the beauty of the PCA and poker, the camaraderie between countries. You have
Yeah.
friends from everywhere, all over the world. It's awesome. One of my favorite things about coming here.
Yeah, this is a really fun event, and outside of the World Series in Vegas, it is the biggest event, and there is, I think here maybe more than anywhere else other than Vegas, that sense of community where everyone's just hanging out, everyone's doing stuff at night together.
No, that's the beauty of it. That's the point. I think the problem with the series in Vegas is everybody isn't forced to stay together. There's so much to do. Once you're done playing poker, you can just go do something else. Whereas here, if you're going to go do something else, it's at this resort pretty much. I mean, you can leave the resort, but not many poker players do. So everybody's sort of forced to stay in one area and get to know each other and hang out, and it's sort of, you build those friendships, and it's very special, and that's why I think the PCA succeeds.
Yeah, there's only a couple of bars, and you end up seeing, pretty much everyone in poker. And if you guys, who haven't ever had the chance to be on the poker scene, it's really pretty incredible because you can be a satellite winner, you can be a member of the media, you can be, a high-stakes player, and everyone is just hanging out, drinking together, get to know each other. Everyone's super approachable.
It's amazing how social the poker scene is, and I think it's because you have to be so cutthroat at the table, even to your friends, that it's like a relief when you're away from the table. It's just like, hey, man, I'm just trying to hang out and be nice and have some chats,
And you almost never hear someone say, if people want to talk about hands, you never hear someone, hey, can we talk about something besides poker?
Right,
people love talking
you're
poker.
You're with like-minded people
Yes.
that have the same interests as you, which is why I think the community is so tight in poker. That you're like, hey, I'm sitting around, I can chat about poker and not have to worry about these people not knowing what I'm talking about. So we've got a raise under the gun from Denchev with Queen Jack off.
And that raise is going to get through.
I'm not a huge fan of that raise unless it depends on how the table's been playing. If people haven't been defending a lot and people are just playing fairly passive, then definitely I like to open it up. And, a lot of people say the under the gun's the new button just because everybody opens under the gun now. But, I usually probably wouldn't have made that move unless the dynamic is such where everybody's playing pretty passive. So maybe that's the case, but with everyone still being in, with all but one person after 63 hands, it's very possible.
Yeah, people really haven't been defending all that much. There's been a lot of raise and take it, so I think that, whether or not Denchev is cognizant of that, we don't know, but that actually has been the case. Got some tweets coming in. Stefan says, are all your jokes on impulse, or do you actually prepare some of them? Just curious and enjoying it. I'll say this. On television, yes. Every single one is prepared. I painstakingly slave over my jokes. When there's trouble, you call DW. That was one that I wrote for David Williams here back in the big game days. But on the live broadcast, for the most part, I would hope that you could tell by the quality of the jokes that most of them are...
See, even that one, it just comes natural.
Exactly, are under the gun, if you will. Action's folded around the Dion in the small blind. Short stacked, folds the king.
I'm not sure how much I like that. I mean,
Doesn't want to shove in the Dan Chef for some reason, who has been playing fairly solid.
right. I mean, if King High is usually the best hand, and when you're in the small blind, you know, there's a lot of money out there to win. There's your small blind, the big blind, the antes. It's usually worth taking a stab at the pot or something with King High, not just surrendering and giving it up, unless you've got an absolute maniac in the big blind that you know you're not going to get to fold often. But even so, King High is likely to be beating most of the hands he's getting. So
Yeah, I don't think Danchev is that maniac, but we have to remember that, you know, that you are David Williams saying that, and no offense to Dion, but, you know, he probably hasn't been on a stage this big as often as you have. And if you take a look at the prize jumps here, the next person getting paid is going to make $230,000. It goes up, you know, almost $100,000 after that. And the laddering up here, $1.8 million for first. That's just such a huge jump.
right, and the ladder principle is something that a lot of people need to take into consideration when they're at these final tables. So now we're taking a peek at the 25K high roller live going on right now. A lot of big name pros in this event. Looking at Nick Schulman. Pretty much anybody who's that you've heard of at the PCA that's, you know, still here is in this tournament.
And they had a much bigger turnout, I think, than they were expecting for this event.
204 entries. First is $1.4 million.
Who says the poker economy's hurting?
Right, this is a fantastic event. Okay, back at the main event final table. We've got an all-in from Andre and a call quickly from Dion with 2 jacks. Andre unfortunately only has a king and 9 offsuit.
Shuttleoff in really bad shape here, looking to spike that king.
He does have Dion covered though, so he is not at risk.
Dion in a pretty good spot to double up. He held off shoving that weak king. Got it in a few hands later with 2 jacks.
Now let's see if patience will be rewarded.
King 9, King 9. Dan has pocket jack.
I folded 2 things.
72% chance Dion doubles up.
There's some jokes. I folded 2 kings. Won't be a funny joke if one comes.
That one never gets old. 6 high flop, looking pretty good for 2 jacks.
This moment here, this is like one of the most unique feelings in the world when you're Dion in this spot. For those of you who haven't been at a major funnel
Yeah,
table in
tell
this
us more
spot,
about that feeling.
this feeling's just gross. And this is the feeling too where you're in your head, you're kind of like making a deal with the poker gods. You're like, you know what, I'll even take a deuce or a 7. You know, I really want a jack or blank, but I will take a deuce or a 7. Like, please just don't do it.
Deuce or a 7 would be a chop. Wow.
And then when it comes, you're like, I didn't really mean that.
did- what-
Like,
no,
I
I
didn't
should've-
really
I
want
meant-
that deuce or a 7, but I just didn't want to lose. No, but
I meant to ask for a jack. Dang it.
pretty much anything but a king. But
Got another question from the gallery here. Krishnan asks, David, how many tournaments did you enter in the PCA and what was your best result?
oh, that's a fun question. I actually entered 3 tournaments. The main event, obviously, because I'm never going to miss that one. I played the 5K PLO on like one of the first few days I was here. And then I played the 1K buy-in Zoom Poker Challenge on PokerStars, which is an event where you got 20K in play money. You jumped in Zoom Poker against the world, the field, and you had 12 minutes to see what you could turn your 20K into. And this went on for 5 hours. You know, you could sign up for 5 days. And
It was like a multiple re-entry
it's
tournament.
kind of like
as
a
well, right?
video game tournament in a sense, where you just sit down, run your high score in 12 minutes. They put it on a leaderboard. And I was the winner with 175,000 in 12 minutes from 20. Actually, I got to 180 in 6 minutes and then just coasted the last 6 because I didn't think that anybody would be able to get to my score. And luckily, no one. There was a mad rush at the end, and people got close. But it held up, and I was the champion, and I won my first PCA side event.
And you entered only one time?
Well, I didn't say that. No, I entered
That
twice.
was just the last part of the
I entered
story.
twice. I entered twice. I entered twice. But surprisingly enough, at the end of both my sessions, I was the leader of the tournament. The first session, I was the 3rd person to play at 45K. I was in first, didn't hold up. But we got good action here at the table. We've got a open from Denchev with ace-king of diamonds on the button. And its action is on Owen Crow in the blind, and he folds.
So 2 bullets for you. You maintain that lead for a while. got.
First bullet didn't last very long. I mean, I was the third person to play. You start with 20. I finished with like 45K, which I knew wasn't going to hold. Sure enough, in about 2 hours, there was a tweet from PokerStar's PCA account. The lead has been taken with like 50K.
Kevin Williams, get back down here. Defend your first place position.
No, yeah, that's what they were pretty much doing. They were goading me. They were like, hey, look, you're not in the lead anymore. So I knew that I actually knew when I finished, I said the winning score I thought would be around 150. And luckily I was able to, when I went to play, the lead here was 120 on the last day. And in 6 minutes, I got to 180 and was just like, wow, this is insane. And I felt comfortable. I think if I didn't think that was going to be good enough, I would have kept playing the last 6 minutes. But I really felt like this is a score that I don't want to jeopardize. And I just sat back and finished with 175. And luckily, it held.
We've got an under-the-gun shove from your boy Roy.
Roy shoves 1.5 million approximately. So we've got about 15 big blinds. And now it's on Mika with 2 6s, which I think is a spot. Let's see, it was under the gun. You're under the gun +1. It's actually close. I mean, if you were, the button or the blinds and you could close out the action here, I think it's an easy call. The only worry you have to have is there are still, under the gun, 6 players, or there's 7 total remaining. So there's
7 total remaining.
There's
he
still
does fold the 2
five
sixes.
players to act. Yeah, I mean, I actually like his fold. It's with the ladder principle here, moving up. The big gaps in the pay. Right now, it's almost more than 10 times from here to first. And you don't want to put in $1.5 million and then have someone behind you remove all in and isolate.
Especially because if they do remove all
you've got to
in,
fold.
Exactly. You're not in very good shape.
So you're just burning up. You're taking $1.5 million and lighting it on fire. And even if no one else calls, you could be behind or you're probably flipping. It's unlikely he has 5s or lower. I mean, he would probably do it the same, but there's just more hands that are flipping or beating you.
You can be big blind
So
if you want.
though that risk, it's probably a good fold. I like it. I don't think a lot of people would have made it either, and I think it's a good one.
I think especially with that amount of chips sitting in front of you, you can very easily justify it. Hey, I can bust this guy. It won't cause me too much problem. But again, another reason why a fold is good there is you don't double him up.
Exactly. No, it's funny,
He's
too.
still short.
My analysis here says I think that fold is good, but I actually think if I'm at the table there, just knowing my personality, I'm always trying to, I'm trying to end this thing. I'm trying to win it right now. I'm like, I got a shot at knocking somebody out. Boom, I'm putting the money in. And that's probably a flaw in my game, and it's probably hurt me some. But it's allowed me to also have some big chip stacks and win some of these tournaments because I've ran hot and won those. But I've also blown up and blown chip leads by doing that. So I like the conservative approach in the fold there because I think you're going to make more money more often.
I also think, though, for someone in your case, even if you do call there and you're behind or you lose a flip or something like that, like you're perfectly capable of.
I can rebuild.
Right.
I've been there before and I know how to accumulate chips. But like I said, I actually think even though I can do it, I think it would be the wrong play. And I think the fold there was good. So we've got a raise from Andre in the cutoff with ace-4 off. And Owen Crow is on the button with an ace-8 of diamonds. And he 3-bet to 450. I really like Owen Crow's game is great. I think he's reading the situation great. I think he realizes Andre is most likely stealing, and he's got a great hand to 3-bet in position with. If he's just called,
but did he make a read that Roy was going to wake up with ace-jack behind him?
It's kind of sick, actually, that Roy's ship with ace-jack here. He's fortunate that it's cut off button, so it actually makes their ranges a lot wider. So ace-jack is, likely going to be the best hand. Because if they're in an earlier position, he's got to assume ace-jack is probably dominated or crushed. And luckily for him, he's got them destroyed. I mean, ace-4 off gets out pretty easily. And now what is Owen Crow going to do? I mean, the amount is another 12 big blinds to call. He's getting about 2-1 with what's in the pot already.
It is a huge portion of his stack, though.
Right, but it is almost half his chips. So I think Owen is going to fold here. He's a pretty good player, and he's pretty sound in his fundamentals.
Well, Paul says on Twitter he's predicting Crow to win the PCA.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very impressed by his game, and I've always thought he was an outstanding player. So it's very rare to see him make big mistakes, and I think calling here would be a big mistake, and I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's just taking his time, and he's just thinking it through because he is a thinking player, and just making sure he's probably thinking of the ranges that Roy could have, how he does against those ranges. He knows that this is a 4-bet shove, so I think he's just taking his time to make sure he doesn't make a bad decision, but I ultimately think he's going to fold, and as he should.
Right, I mean, this isn't a great spot for Roy to be shoving light, probably.
Exactly.
I think you do have to think it through. It's just very tempting. You're suited.
Now, it would be really interesting had Andre not opened with the ace-4 off, and Crow was the opener, and Roy shoved, and it's button big blind. Then I think he has a different choice.
Way bigger chance that he does make the call there. Walter on Twitter wants to know, David, why didn't you play the open face Taiwanese tournament?
You know, it's funny. This weekend was the first weekend I've really played open face poker. It was last night until 9 a.m. this morning.
So you're just getting to it now.
Yeah,
You're
you know,
late to the game.
it sort of blew up, you know, in this past year, and I haven't been spending any extra time at tournaments. If I'm done with the main event, you know, or the side events, I'm getting home to my daughter, so I haven't had time to really play. Haven't been around the casino much when it's been going on, unless I'm in a tournament. And I dabbled with Jeff Madsen one weekend at a Magic tournament for $1 a point because I didn't know how big it played and I didn't know what I was doing, and we didn't want
And
to
you
hurt
left
each other.
down 10,000.
No, I won like $8, which he didn't even pay me on, actually. I was like, hey, what the hell, my $8, where'd you go? So that don't really count that as playing open face. So when I got
You hear
here,
that, Madsen? $8.
no, I think we might have settled it in something else later. I don't remember, but I'm not worried about it. But either way, this weekend, last night, there was an open face game being started with Chino Reem, Nacho Barbero, and Rob Mizrachi. And I said, look at this action. Even though I've never played this game, with this lineup, I got to be a
It's
favorite.
such a high variance game. I mean, and
Yeah, I mean, I lost 66 points, and I won't disclose how much we were playing
Oh,
per point,
come
but it
on.
was way more than $1 a point.
I bet.
And it hurt a little bit, but I learned a lot, and I actually feel confident for, you know, if I play again.
Dion shoving under the gun with ace-9.
He's got 16 big blinds to find shove. You know, you don't want to have to keep putting in blinds and not picking up blinds. So, you know, you've got an ace, you've got 16 bigs in your hand. You know, it's hard for them to call.
He's made it all the way through to the small blind, but he is not going to get past Jonathan Roy.
Yeah, it always goes like this, it feels. Like you finally pick up something, you know, you got a short stack, you ship it in. You're just hoping to get through or maybe run into a pair of deuces and have a nice flip.
Roy shoves over the top. Mika folds. Cards go on their backs. Yanni Dion not in great
And
shape.
then you find out you're almost a 3-to-1 dog. It's just,
These guys are friends, IRL.
oh yeah, the two Canadians.
They're
going
not
at it.
making tons of eye contact right now, though. Why did you have to wake up with ace king? I thought we were friends.
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to kick me, dude. Like, what's going on? He's like, I didn't look at my hand yet.
JBL. It's just bad luck.
Not yet, not yet.
10, 7, 6 on the flop. Dion does flop a gut shot.
Picked up 3 more outs. I always like that when the guy that's still way ahead looks uneasy, you know? He like, Roy sinks back, like, oh. You're still 70%.
You've never lost a hand while you've been ahead, have you, David?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you know, to get that worried yet.
Queen on the turn.
Now you take away one of his outs.
That's right, one of the straight outs
Because
is
he's got
gone.
the 9 of clubs in his hand. It's down to just 6 outs.
3 9s and 3 8s. Otherwise, Jan Dion will be eliminated. Jack of clubs.
The nuts.
That's right, no help for Jan Dion. He is now eliminated in 7th place. $230,000 for a score. And his last remaining chips get shipped over to his friend, Jonathan Roy.
You know, that's not a bad spot, though, when you're like, well, at least my buddy's got the chips. You know, hopefully he can take them and do something with it. Even though I hate getting in pots with my friends at final tables, and it just drives me nuts when they have the best of me if they knock me out. I'm still happy if they take them and do something with them.
If you have to lose, why not?
To somebody
Lose to
you
your
like.
friend, absolutely. We got an email to the nuts@pokerstars.tv account. Says, hey guys, good job with the commentary. We have a great poker community here in Bulgaria. And despite us all playing the Sunday online tournaments, I'm sure that every poker player from Bulgaria is watching. Danchev is the best Bulgarian poker player, not only in tournaments, but in heads-up cash games. David, wish you good luck in a main event final table this year. Love your play. And that is from Stelion. Thank you, Stelion.
Thank you, Stelion. I wish that too. And so maybe if we do it together, we get some more Bulgarians involved, it'll come true. So start wishing.
If you get all Bulgaria on your side, I think that's like a lot of run good in the universe going your direction.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Maybe I need to go talk to our man Danchev, see if he can get on that.
Plus, Dimitar is a pretty cool name, I think. Sounds kind of like Scimitar, like his name is a sword.
I was thinking centaur, you know, like half man, half horse.
There you go.
Like a beast.
That's why he's wearing that cargo net as a shirt. Keep that beast contained. Actions folded around to Jonathan Roy, still stacking chips.
This guy reminds me of Scott Freeman. Just kind of looks like him. I don't know if he was an online pro SC Trojans was his online name.
I remember the online name.
Also plays Magic with this guy. I keep looking at this guy thinking, wow, Scott Freeman's at the final table.
Or something.
I think our 7th place finisher kind of looked like Michael Tereniak a little bit
Danchev.
too. More action here. Min-raise on the button from Jonathan Roy. The best Bulgarian player in the world wakes up with Jackson in the big blind. Pretty evenly stacked, these two.
And this is going to be interesting because, you know, people know that the button is sort of everybody almost an automatic. People think, well, then it's also kind of an automatic to re-raise light from the big blind. So this has potential for fireworks, but looks like the cautious play here continues, and he just gives it up without second thought, which I like. You know, it's like you just won those chips. Got to hold on to them a little bit, let them get situated, populate them, grow them.
No reason to get too crazy. Plus, like I said, Danchev's been playing pretty solid. Here is our current chip counts. Joel Mika still on top, 108 big blinds. Danchev second in chips with, I want to say only 47, which is plenty. But when the guy, you know, the chip leader has over 100, 47 doesn't seem like as much.
Didn't the 9th place finisher have 7 million almost at one point? Ryan Fair?
He was a huge chip leader, yeah.
Because
not about chip. I don't know if it was a chip leader, but yeah, he had massive chips
I feel
at
like
one point.
I saw an update on Poker News and on the PokerStars blog that he had 7 million with 9 left, and then someone came into my room and said something like, "Yeah, he got 9th." And I'm like, "No, you must be reading it wrong." I'm like, "That's impossible." And then I looked at this final table and didn't see his name list. I'm like, "What the heck happened?"
I believe that not only was that possible, that is what happened.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I feel terrible for him. I mean, you got to be, right now he's probably kicking himself.
I don't want to say too much because I didn't witness it, but according to what I've heard about his behavior at the table, maybe you shouldn't feel so bad for him.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're, even
I'll
if
say
you
this,
played bad.
he was not well liked.
Even if you're playing bad, I mean, I could say that, but if you're not, even if you're playing bad, you probably had to get pretty unlucky to lose that many chips in some spots, and you know that can really break a man's spirit and make a man not act himself. So I'm saying I don't want to cast judgment if you know.
Oh, it was well before that, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, if it was before that, then
my guess is what happened is that he upset whoever it was that he upset, and then basically a lot of people in the room were probably all doinking him. Like just completely wishing the worst.
So
luck
he had
ever
the
upon
opposite
him.
of the Bulgaria run good.
That's
going.
right. Yeah.
He had the room.
He may have upset Bulgaria for all I know.
Oh wow! Here we go. Ace is under the gun.
And plus, since under the gun's the new button, maybe he'll get some action.
Probably not as the way this table's playing, and I haven't seen him play a pot since I've come on to the broadcast. So I wouldn't call him with 2 kings right here. I mean,
that is a little frustrating to pick up aces and get no action.
You know it is, but then you think about it, like someone told me, you got to give action to get action, buddy.
We're going to take a little bit of a look at Jerry's route to the final table here. At the end of day 1, 123rd out of 500, not too bad. He's in the top 50 at the end of day 2. At the end of day 3, top 10 also at the end of day 4. So pretty smooth sailing for him.
Wow,
those last few days.
That's like a nice graph. You know, if you graph that, just casual. All those all those stacks are attainable. Nothing is like, you know, sometimes you see a guy at the end of day 1 with like 500K and you're like 250. Like, how did he do it? 80K is totally attainable. 250, 800. It's just like smooth sailing. And then that last day was huge, 7.5 million. That's how you want to do it if you want to get to these final tables. I mean, I go the Mizrachi route, the roller coaster.
Well, you just start
like
off with 400,000
400
chips.
day 1, and day 2, 300. I go down, and the next day another million, and then I finish a million again. Like, it's just crazy. I liked his graph.
Simon on Twitter wants to know, what is the free roll password? It's freezing here in Slovenia. Watching the PCA makes me feel warm.
It's
See
actually
you there next year.
DW Poker is the free roll password today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Password is DeBella, last year's winner, John DeBella, D-I-B-E-L-L-A. DeBella is the free roll password. And hurry up and sign up for that thing because we only have 19,000 more seats available.
So look at this. His aces didn't work. Gets ace-king in the big blind the next hand, and the button has raised with an ace-5 suited to 200,000. So it's not so bad yet.
And again, right after a raise that didn't get called, maybe a little bit more leveling happens here than you'd normally expect. Can he really have 2 big hands in a row? The answer is yes, of course, because he does.
How much you play?
Uh-oh, he's getting sized up.
Probably once again.
Jerry very concerned about mouth tells.
3 raises, makes it a total of 510,000.
Or at least he wants us in the booth to know that he's having regular breathing.
So far, I've noticed you haven't seen anybody do any trapping with a big hand. Like,
been really straightforward.
I call.
Oh, wow.
Shadowlove shoves, Wong calls.
Wow, Shadowlove shoves for 37 big blinds with ace-5 on the button. And this is where that leveling comes in, where you're raising the button, they think you're light, so you're going to go back, you know, like it's just.
Now we can understand being leveled into maybe thinking you have, you know, a decent hand here, that you're not in terrible shape, but what reason is there for shoving?
No, that's what I'm saying. He made it 5-something. You can re-raise back to like 1.1, and if you get re-raised, you can still fold, and you know, you can have 2.7 million left. It's just, I think he made a big mistake here, and he's gonna regret it unless he gets pretty lucky.
Shadowlove is one of the players who doubled up through Jerry Wong earlier today. Safe flop so far, although there are some ways to a chop now.
Some backdoor beats coming up too. There's a couple options.
Some wheel and flush draws, that's right. Let's see if we have a sweat
Just
on the turn.
All right, so now he's just got 3 5s to win the pot, and he's got some chop outs.
Queen R6 for a chop.
Woo! That's what I think. When that happens, when I'm Jerry, I'm like, whoo!
So Wong doubles up, gets a little bit of revenge against Shadowlove, and Shadowlove now crippled.
And
He's
Wong,
in really rough shape, less than 5 bigs.
Wong is right back up there where he started the final table with, which that's a fantastic feeling when you know things are going wrong and they're spiraling out of control. You're sitting here thinking, you know what he's been thinking this whole time. He's been thinking, man, I had 7 million and how good that would be right now. I'd still be in second. He's probably been talking to himself this whole final table, and now he's just like, I'm back. And I would be shocked to not see his confidence raised and him to really start to kick it back up again.
Absolutely, there are the current chip counts. 76 big blinds now
Oh,
for our
wow.
second place.
And Andrei Shatilov down to 5 big blinds after that massive mistake with ace-5 of spades. He could have easily just re-raised to $1 million, $1.1 million, and gotten away from it and still had 2 million chips left. He could have just called and seen a flop, and he actually could have outplayed him post-flop. You know, you raise to 500, you're in position. A lot of times he has a hand that plays well post-flop. I like to see a flop there sometimes when they don't raise a lot, and you've got some chips left to play with. I mean, you could get pick up a big draw. You can outplay them on blank boards, which he actually might have been able to do there. So
I think shoving there, it's one of those times where shoving is the worst option. Usually calling is the worst option, but you know, you can call there and see a flop pretty cheap. You can also, like you said, put in another bet and not risk all that much more.
you could fold. I mean, you have so many different options.
This is Andre's route to the final table.
Wow, another chart that doesn't look, I mean, the jump from 3 to 4, you know, that's a big jump. You start the day with 360 and with 1.5 million, but in general, another chart that looks like anybody can pull this off. You don't have to be a chip builder. You 62 after day 1, only 100 after day 2. People have that in like level 2 of this tournament. So.
I'm sure it's a great feeling to say, hey, I'm chip leader at the end of a particular day, but it's not even remotely necessary.